Hello, Dumaguete.
Hello, Negros Oriental.
Hello, Sillimanians around the world.
This is Joshua Soldivilio.
And this is Ronaldin Faith by Losses No.
You're watching
Silliman. Good evening, everyone. This is a magazine program that talks about different aspects of Silliman University, a program initiated to discuss matters concerning the campus by the sea. Welcome to #Silliman. Maayong gabi, Sillimanians. Maayong gabi, viewers. Thank you very much for making #Silliman your Monday night habit. You know, October, according to the National Commission on Culture and the Arts, we celebrate the Museum and Galleries Month here in the Philippines. So we will be talking about museums and galleries, and as you can see, we are here in a new venue. This is actually the Anthropology Museum at Silliman University. And today, we are joined by the curator herself of the Anthropology Museum, our Suki here in #Silliman, Assistant Professor Christine Batiles. Hi, Ma'am Tien, and welcome again to #Silliman.
Hello and mayong gabi sa tanan nato nga mga viewers as well.
Okay. And we also have here our tour guide for the day, and she's also the president of the Junior Anthropology and Sociology Society, Miss Von Dagpin. Hi, Von, and welcome to #Silliman.
Hi, good evening, and thanks for having me tonight.
All right, Ma'am Tin, let's talk about museums and galleries since we are celebrating the Museum and Galleries Month here in the country. What is the role of museums in the lives of every Filipino, or perhaps every Sillimanian or Dumagueteño?
When we think about museum, oftentimes we think about places where we can find old stuff.
Yes.
But actually, when you think about museum, this is a particular place where people are educated. The role of the museum is actually to educate the public. And as an educational institution, definitely the museum plays a very big role, or I would say a vital role. For us Sillimanians, we can really be proud of that we have a museum such as this.
Yes.
So it can supplement actually the academe in terms of we are not just seeing, when you think about the museum, for me it has actually two major roles, and that is first is to educate the public. And when we talk about education, that also includes research, preservation, and conservation of our collections.
Yes.
So this is important. It's because these are things that we have collected, and they showcase actually the identity of the people who, as Filipinos. And for us, these are the good representative of who we are, our cultural heritage. Who can actually choose our cultural heritage? It's us only. So how we preserve these items also will tell us how we give importance to our either history or culture.
Yes.
So it is important for students really to see these things, that they don't just read it via the books, hear stories about them, but it is also important to see the tangible things. So not necessarily touch them, but really see them. For example, in museums, yes, for them to know, this really exists, and this again connects them to their heritage, to the past. So bringing the past into the present, and hopefully that the future will also see these things, because this is our aim as well, to definitely preserve. And then of course, the museum has also some sort of an entertainment part.
Education and entertainment.
Education and entertainment. So we are here to entertain. Somehow, I guess I would say that visitors that come to the museum, they enjoyed what they see here. So you get to be educated, but you also get to be entertained because you learn new things.
Yeah.
So we are again competing with other tourist spots. So hopefully people will come and visit us and see that these are the things that we can be proud of.
Yes.
Not just as Sillimanian, but also as Filipinos.
Yes, because when you see collections like this, no, it seems that you also see a part of you,
Yeah.
right? Because this is part of who we are. This is part of the, perhaps, the ways of life of our ancestors. And it's good to know that these are well being taken care of in this museum. Speaking of, since you mentioned a while ago about collections, this is the Sultan Kudarat urn burials. My question
Yes.
is, when we brought here, when we brought these urn, did it contain ashes with them or something like that?
So,
Can you please tell us the story behind this?
So here in the museum, actually, we have a lot of burial collections, and one of that is from this particular area from Sultan Kudarat. So these are what we call as secondary burial urns.
Oh.
So when you say secondary, there definitely was a primary burial. So our ancient ancestors, I might not call them as Filipinos yet,
Yes.
because that's modern na. So our ancestors, they have various ways of burying their dead. So they have various ways also of trying to respect the dead.
Yeah.
So one of that is through this. So I said secondary. So there's a primary. They might have buried the dead somewhere else, and then after a few years, they will exhume the bones, get the bones, clean it, and then put it inside these urns.
Yeah.
And these urns will, actually, they were found inside caves or rock shelters in Sultan Kudarat. So those rock shelters or caves became sort of like the cemetery, just like ours. So
Yeah.
it's like a communal cemetery. So only the bones are inside, not ashes though.
Not ashes, but bones.
Bones,
Okay.
yes,
The
bones.
cremation is kind of...
It's a different.
It's a different...
So these are bones. So they vary in terms of size. It's because it will also indicate whether it's an adult, the bigger ones,
Oh.
and the smaller ones are actually for children. Yeah.
All right. Now, Von, I'd also would like to ask. So these items here came really from Sultan Kudarat.
They actually excavated. They conducted an excavation. There's an archaeological exploration and excavation back in the late 1960s. And Silliman was one of the institutions that was actually part of that exploration and excavation.
Okay.
So majority of the items from that excavation were brought here to Silliman, and then it's now here at the Anthropology Museum.
Okay, from urns, here we have ceramics.
Yes.
And as I can see it, it came from Himalalod, this one. Can you please tell us the story of this collection, Von?
Right. So before I answer regarding answering some previous question, how many collections we have
Yes.
here sa museum, number-wise, I can't really tell you, but I like to categorize it into four main parts.
Yep.
For one, we have the Bakong collection. Second, we have these coastal, I'd like to personally call it coastal excavations, these things we are right now. The third would be the geostones, minerals that was donated, but I will get to that later. And of course, lastly, mga different artifacts from different ethnic groups here in the Philippines. Now, sa thing we have here in front of us right now. So kaning mga artifacts dire, these are all actually going back, no, excavated from Himalalo during the year
Yes.
1960s, by the Silliman anthropology team together with the National Museum. That was long ago, really. But the story, Annie, is, again, fun fact actually, where we are right now are more on related to the dead, because we are in a burial sites, excavations, mao ni siya.
That's why it's heavy here.
Yeah. Oh, ma-feel pula tala na ito. Hope ma-feel nyo dyan, pero wag lang. But yes, here, these things actually going back sa burial traditions before fetus position paglalagay. But this time na, gapahigda na when a person dies.
Ah,
Now,
okay.
unsay related ani nila is these are these things nga gina-treasure sa mga people before. And when they do that, they like this, so they want to bring it to the heavens, to the afterlife. You know that practice we have, padala? Yes,
Yeah,
this is one of it.
okay.
Kay, ilang kinabuhat, imagine na may mga tao dito nakahiga. Ay, isang tao lang po nakahiga. They will cover these celadons to the body, to
So
the cover
that's
they
what
had.
they are called celadons.
Yes, these are called celadons. And these are, by the way, from China. Mga items here actually are, evidences na po of trade from our country to the neighboring ones, especially, China, Taiwan, Thailand, and Cambodia, but especially here, China na siyang items. And again, these are all items related to the dead and burial practices nila nga cover sa ilang lawas when, they pass away in hopes that they could bring it to the afterlife.
Okay. Speaking of
Yes.
burials, what we have here is a boat coffin.
Indeed, so.
Right? So this was used around what? Perhaps
Exact dates actually wasn't that measured because for most, this was not an official
And we cannot
excavation.
touch it pala,
Of
diba?
course,
Yeah.
yes, bawal po yan.
bawal po yan i-touch. We just have to enjoy it.
Yes, with our
enjoy,
eyes.
Yeah, enjoy
Ganun
seeing
siya.
it. And then this is made out of wood, right?
Yes, and then
And just imagine there is a person
Was
buried here.
inside,
When
yeah.
it was excavated? Or
Ooh,
what's the story
Story,
behind that?
alright. Story time tayo
Let's talk about stories of the past. Museums are also gateways of the past. So
Indeed.
it's good that we also, it's not just kathang isip. These items are really pieces of evidence about the civilization that happened before us. Right?
Yes.
Sige. Go ahead, Von. Please tell us a story.
Right. So as I said kanina, this was not an official excavation. Yung nakahanap nito was actually a treasure hunter. So when you found it, it was actually, this item by the way was situated in somewhere in Bacong, Valencia nga swamp, ana. So very secluded in a sense, ana. But when the treasure hunter found it, he was expecting gold, money, and those people. And again, they don't really have much care, I guess, to some items. So as we can see here, there's this huge gap right over here, right? That's where it is said nga, ginanon niya yung cover, expecting to open lots of, coins, jewelries perhaps. But when he opened it, well, he found bones. Yan yun po yung story niya. So ayun, I'm not entirely sure how it came here to the museum, but it was said daw na when it arrived here dun sa Old Silliman Museum that it was very, very mabaho, perhaps.
Mabaho.
Yeah, so kaya we have an uling right there to, pa-control yung scent. But fortunately,
But don't get us wrong. It doesn't have
yes,
smell
actually,
naman.
yeah, as times passed by, actually when I started here, I really smelled nothing. So
Yeah.
I think that's the pros then. As the times goes by, it kindly eradicates, it's kind of gone. So ayun, that's what we have here. Now, going to the background on what entirely is, again, it's perhaps a primary burial jar. We've seen what was a secondary burial jar, right? This one again could be one of the primary versions on what could happen after life. So they put the body here in a laying position, and then there it would wait to make exhume. And this one, you might be wondering, what ang liit-liit? And how can we fit that? Well, I cannot fit there, obviously, but because we have to think that the inhabitants, what's called inhabitants here, first inhabitants here in the Philippines, they're really, really small in stature and small, thin in a sense. So, wag po tayong magja-judge
Perhaps
sa mga
they are my ancestors.
Well.
Anyway, kidding aside,
Yes,
thank you for the
opo.
story in this section, Bon. We will be moving to the next, but before that, #Silliman will have a short break. Please stay with us as we showcase the different collections here at the Anthropology Museum.
Silliman University, a place where every corner tells a story of dedication, growth, and excellence. But beyond our classrooms, our school has fostered a revolution against waste. Our story is a passionate call for environmental responsibility, directly tackling waste challenges often faced by big institutions. And this all began with a move in the right direction, the bold step to reinforce policies and firmly ban plastics in campus. This is the Silliman University Waste Management Success Story.
Here at
at Silliman University, we take a role as stewards of God's creation seriously. Thus, it was imperative for us to develop environment principles, policies, and guidelines.
Silliman University has published, after approval of the Board of Trustees, its guidelines, principles, and policies on environmental sustainability. And zero-waste plastic, or a plastic ban, is part of that.
Taking care of the environment is not an easy task. It requires passion, commitment, resilience, and initiative. Change does not happen overnight, so we can only do so much. With Silliman University, students are expected to go beyond what's expected. And so, for every event that they organize, they are required to submit protocols and zero-waste management plan before their events are given approval.
At Silliman University, our education transcends textbooks.
At Silliman, this isn't just a bag, it's a stance against disposable culture.
We're taught to be stewards of the earth. Every reusable bottle, every cloth bag, and every sustainable choice we make stems from a profound lesson that our actions, however small, shape our future.
So Silliman University as an educational institution is in a very unique position to be able to teach the students from early childhood all the way up to college these environmental principles to help them rethink their lifestyles and their consumption patterns to choose products that are kinder to the environment.
Silliman University operates a materials recovery facility wherein the Buildings and Grounds Department segregates the waste materials into 3 categories: recyclables, biodegradables, and residuals. The recyclable materials are processed and retained in the facility. Meanwhile, the residuals are collected by the Environmental and Natural Resources Office of Dumaguete and are deposited to the Bayawan City landfill.
Silliman University is living proof that our commitment is not only to education but also to protecting our planet and to our community. These principles, policies, and guidelines that our university has outlined, they are not only a set of rules and policies, they are a promise to our youth and to our planet. A promise that we should take care of our natural resources, our flora and our fauna here in our university as well. With this, we are encouraging the youth to take action and inflict positive change with regards to the different environmental pressing issues in our society today.
Our school is not only committing to a greener tomorrow, but also building a culture where environment is a priority. Through simple and collective actions, we strive for a greener, cleaner future for all, and most importantly, a hopeful today.
These are Silliman's ways of not only protecting our world, but also making it a better place. Here's to a responsible environmental behavior.
And now we're back. Thank you for staying with us here at #Silliman. And still we have here Vaughn as our tour guide for the day. And when we talked about, well, earlier we talked about burial jars, and now we are surrounded by pots. And during the short break, we have a talk about these things excavated from Bacong,
Yes.
Negros Oriental, just a municipality away from Dumaguete. So please, can you tell us the story about these, Mon?
Right. So these earthenwares, as we call it, is referred to as bakong type wares, because of course named after the place where it's found, and is actually kind of a symbolism of how people lived before. Kay mga kani containers jud siya actually, makakita ganita actually during dapita og steamer, nga ano kay mga dots dire, and of course sa iyang shape pa lang, it's obviously used perhaps sa mga
For
pagluto.
cooking.
Yes, of
Yes,
course, and kana. But another one that I'd like to point out, Sad, is this ovoid bottom type nga kolon or that. Because obviously ang shape, i-compare nato dire, di siya makastan on its own, di ba? Ang ginabuhat ay ni kay baga man ni siya grim, hopefully makita nato ni later if visit mo. No, diha ginabutang ang rope and then theorized that it could be hanged sa open roof or sa gawas. And then diha ginabutang ang mga condiments, salts, perhaps mga certain or maybe tubig kay ginadala.
Yes.
Kay mura siya ano. So in a sense, kining mga clay pots dere, this could also be the old Tupperware if we like to call it.
Yes.
Kay mga containers maninila sila.
How old are these clay pots?
Yes. So these are said to be actually kaning tanang mga excavations dere are dated to be around 200 BC to 900 AD. Between those ages, or basically Iron Age, kay naman po nakitang mga iron supplements when they excavated these items. So basically, before pa jud abot ng mga Spaniards dito sa Philippines, these people are living and these things were made by around those times. So it's really, really old.
You know, there are early civilizations before the Espanol came and conquered the country. And no, I cannot help but notice these items.
Right.
What do we call these items? And
the name of it was boat terracotta, but unfortunately, again, like the boat coffin we saw kanina, this one was also an unofficial excavation.
Yep.
So, story time? Kani siya is, it was found accidentally by a construction worker when they were making a septic tank somewhere still in Bacong, Valencia Road, somewhere along that area. So when they found it was like, saan man nato ni siya? So timingly na ay collector nakakitaan na.
Yeah.
Oh, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that. So it was around 15 or 10,000 pesos at that time. He bought that with them. I don't know who he paid it for, but here's the thing na, when the collector had it, he couldn't sleep for like 3 nights.
Why?
What a story ginaingon sa among creator na
Oh my
mo, Ma'am
God.
Tin, bakit mo ko tinatakot? Pero yeah, when he couldn't sleep for like how many nights? Wala pa may answer, Anna. And the next day, what happened? Here it is. It's here with us in the museum.
You know, every item here has really a story to tell.
Yes, mojo na siya usually. Going back to a bit of a story, they have guests mentioned that it could be related sa Egypt, mga boats. And another one mentioned that it could possibly a replica sa what happened sa mga Moro. Kanang kung mga, you know how, let's not call them Filipinos, mga inhabitants before are maayo sa water aspects, yes.
They navigate the seas to trade
that's
and
the
whatnot,
word.
to explore the world. But anyway,
if we look closely to Anna, there's these people. Now, what could they be doing? They look like they're fighting for their lives. Anna, somebody holding, holding the edge of the boat, if it could be a boat.
Who's nonchalant.
Chill lang, nagumaganon, yes. And so there's a lot of questions, and I usually leave up to the guest on what could they think it could be, and perhaps they have this bigger actual factual information regarding this, because for one, there was no textual evidences when nahanap nito. So hanggang theory na lang po tayo.
Yes, but maybe perhaps as we dig further, we can find answers to the questions that we have now.
Yes, indeed.
But let's go to another spot here at the Anthropology Museum. Now, from burial urns to pots, still we have here different
ceramics
still. No, and as I can see, it dated from Yuan and Qing dynasty. Can you please tell us a brief story about this collection, Bon?
Well, the thing about these things here, mga regular items perhaps, but again, obviously from the looks of it, it came from China pa, and it traveled all the way here. So kaning mga items na to, these are the things used by the people before that inhabitant here in Negros Oriental. And again, they also valued it, so they placed it near again to their burial site. And here, as you said kanina, yes, Qing period, mga plates, mga ceramics nila, and also here. And a bit of a fun fact though, if mo ka-close mo look li ani, hand-painted na siya actually
It's
individually.
very intricate,
Yeah.
very precise.
Oo.
Reminds me of the Japanese.
Really,
ano,
actually. Some would say that. Kaya sa una,
ceramics.
magka-relate na
Oo,
na siya. So,
no?
of course, ma-replicate na siya. So, more siya manufactured, more siya printed, in a
Yes.
sense. But if you look closely, good, mga detailed kaya ng mga Chinese before in making their ceramics or pottery works.
And I think during that time, there's no mass production wherein they didn't have these kinds of technology that will, just print images on our plates. No, that didn't happen during that time. And we are now in the other section of the Anthropology Museum. And when the camera wasn't rolling, we talked about interesting and fun facts, no? You basically informed me about this, which is a supot.
A term that may be inappropriate to others, but to them, this group, sa Luzon na siya by the way, it's called supot.
What were these used for?
Well, to put it frankly, it's what women used before during their menstruation period or can be used to, for diapers for the babies.
Oh,
And
lambing.
Oo. Muraging ana, kung nakaingon taani nga sing kanauhang diaper tsaka napkin ng mga tao.
Sinaunang diaper and napkin. And
Oo.
it is made out of bark cloth,
yes.
used as sanitary napkins.
Yeah, most
Wow.
people would think that rough siya kay bark biya and
Yeah.
you can bend siya wood, but no, it's actually as soft as a cloth would be, thus called siya nga bark cloth. Because why? Naaslay gigamit diri nga bark beater. Mo ni gigamit nga pag anag man naayo, mura ra jud siya cotton ana nga sa imo ang part nga dili ra siya hait og feeling.
Would we know if which bark of a tree was it made from? Or that is part of the
Something.
question.
Yeah, that's part of the
that must be
question.
answered, or that can be answered with
Yes.
further research. No, and we have a lot of things. Where did this come from, and how did it happen to be here at the Anthropology Museum?
Well, for starters, all of these items here we're seeing right now are part of the collection of Dr. Hubert Reynolds during his time, as a missionary here in the Philippines. And with that, this section, by the way, is Luzon, color-coded siya, if you might see later on. Yellow is Luzon, red is Visayas, and blue is Mindanao. And you might spot that later when we walk around. So these glass cases, more specifically, are one of the ethnic group here in the Philippines, which is Tingian, located in northern Luzon, somewhere in Abra. And mo ni siya, kaning glass case niya dire kay household items, kitchenwares. We have instruments here, and of course, livelihood. Naadiri itong napkin ganina. We have the agriculture aspect here, and of course, fishing.
And as I can see, these instruments are made out of
Wood, yes.
Mostly
Bamboo, indeed.
Now, from Luzon, let's go to red for Visayas.
Yes.
Right. All right, Von,
Okay,
we
so-
have here different items. Mostly, I think this is for cooking and livelihood.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Naadiring
we
dapitan.
cannot touch this one, so it's just
Unfortunately.
for the eyes.
Yes. So here, actually, these things can be found today because most of these items are from Claytown, Daro. But of course, in a earlier date na siya, here natong pangluto og rice, ang pag-steam, baka diri ginagbuhat ng mga siopaw, budbudon sa pagkuhay. I'm sorry, di ko sure ha. And then, chocolate, of course, mo ni siya na napakita na ko ninyo, pero kanang pag-ana, mo ni siya.
Yes.
And ang pang-barbecue nato sa una, which is right over here. Yes. And perhaps,
very
maka-relapse
familiar.
mang
Paggawa ng niluyang or nilusa.
yes,
Lusong
ang
og
mortar
alho.
and pestle, larger version. Pag
Yes.
boom, mo na siya.
But what caught my eye and really is interesting is the bungo. Is this a tao or what?
I'll be quiet about that aspect, but what I can respond to you is that these items here are part of the practices in Sikihor, right? Yes, these glass cases is actually from mga items gikan sa Sikihor and their practices.
Oh my God.
Yes
got
po.
goosebumps. And I can see a doll here.
Yes, most people would call it voodoo doll, but they refer to it as haplit.
So is this a skeleton or a skull of a human being or what? Not so
We
sure
can't
about
answer.
that.
I should not answer.
And we have here
Yeah.
love potion or
Oh.
gayuma.
Good luck po. Some people say nga, this is like the authentic version. Yan yung sinabi nila.
Authentic.
But in today's
Can we
time,
still use this one? And we
Yeah.
have here also illustrations or drawings.
the beliefs.
But the beliefs.
Mga
the
Bisaya
beliefs of
beliefs.
the people in Sikihor.
Or so, diri pod sa
Diri pod-
Dumaguete, Bisaya more specifically, terms like buyag.
Buyag.
And, that's one of the, and barang. We
Barang.
hear that often. But kani, particularly sa buyag, maybe to the non-Bisaya people out there, we usually say this when someone compliments us, no?
Yes.
Because if we don't say it nga, para buyag, or nakon wood, that's the common action, right? It would jinx us and eventually could result to opposite saying like for example this illustration here, this man is saying guwapa kayo chicks. Sorry. And wala man nagbuyag ning bay, so she was like, oh no, nagkarasya siya. So that's one of the beliefs these people had. And
But it's up to you if you're going to believe that or not. But that is part of the way of life of the people in the Visayas. And it's even true in the contemporary times or modern times. Yeah, aside from the sorcery or the things that were used for sorcery, we also have what we call ethnomedicine.
yes.
Right?
Mo niyang ginagamit sa mga tigulang before to heal, to cure themselves because di pa man uso ng paracetamol, antibiotics, and they apparently use these different types of barks nung inom or gina-apply externally sa ilang mga sakit.
Okay, and we also have here from Luzon, Visayas, let's go to Mindanao. And I can see a lot of different musical instruments
Yes.
in the middle. But what we have here are
Different
are these?
items from different ethnic groups in the Philippines. More specifically sa Luzon, Tausug, Bilaan, Manobo, and Tiboli. Just snippets of what their, artistic and fashion really is like to them. And if you might see it later on, we have these different colors nila, red, black.
Accessories,
Oh,
right?
accessories, oo. Tsaka, it's ang mga gamit nila, ana. And of course, I think this aspect here, familiar tayo. It might not be central lang sa Mindanao, but to others, are you familiar with this thing here?
I think it's used for iron.
Correct.
Oh,
Nila,
yeah,
wala na ni Ron, wala na kaayo, but my lola used to have it, and I do still have it sa balay, just not gonna use it.
Lalagyan lang ng uling.
Uling, and they have this wood handle, kay, of course, metal man dyan na siya, init kaayo, ginaanan na ni mo diha.
Let's talk about these instruments. Do we play this one or this is just for exhibition purpose only?
Well, the museum aspect, it's not allowed to play, unfortunately, but this is actually a musical ensemble that's used in Muslim Mindanao areas. We have, obviously, kanidire is the gadang. Nasa National Museum actually po ni siya. Inano nga na siya chair dire and it's played like that during mga festivities and the likes. Of course, drum equivalents, the lyre equivalent, of course, agong. Para siyang yung boom. Mga aso.
These are all made of wood and metal, right?
Yes.
And are these made out of gold?
Oh, fun fact, there is no gold here in the museum. Well,
There's no gold here in the museum.
Just one. Ano siya. But these items are brass, made out of brass wares.
Okay.
Yes. Kani siya kay actually,
These are also used as a musical instrument.
indeed so. But these things here at to the end over there, these are heirlooms of Sultan Omar Kiram.
Oh. And these also are
His and mga wedding curtains. You can see the
curtains.
Yes,
I thought
curtain.
malong.
close pa din. Actually, mo ang malong.
Muna ang malong.
Oo,
Okay.
mga Muslim southern parts of the world, Philippines nga influence.
All right. And now we're here in another section, the heirloom of Sultan Omar Kiram. Can you please tell us a brief story about these mon, especially these swords and spears and everything that you can see in this section?
No, to appreciate how these things came here, there is a museum that's know a bit more to its owner, previous owner, which you see, Sultan Omar Kiram. Yes, from the name itself, Sultan, so royalty dyan siya. However, background tayo ha, he did not know nga he was royalty when he was like growing up because there's this time, because he grew up during the American period, so there's this war going on. History na po nga aspect, ano siya. But may two theories what happened. He got lost, unfortunately, when escaping. But another one, he was just apparently kidnapped and then sold as a slave. So when he was sold, it was by General Austria, an Australian-American ana siya nga person during the time here staying in the Philippines. And then because of him actually, thankfully, he grew up in a very nice life. He got good education. He was really, really smart as a child. Si Omar Kiram. But unfortunately though, his adoptive father died without even telling him of his background. So with that, fast forward tayo, he followed the footsteps of his adoptive father. He has this English name, by the way, no? Vicente Austria, and I think you might be familiar because he was working under the presidency of Ramon Magsaysay during that time. And during that time, he was sent on to a mercy mission back to his, what he didn't know of nga, hometown niya, which is Lanao del Sur. Now, when he went there, the chief wife of that time kind of recognized his face and then asked him, like, do you have this birthmark? O naka nga mole or ana-ana? And he did show, nako yung ana. So he showed it to her and was like, hala, ikaw itong nawawalang anak ni isa itong sultan of that time. And diha na, na-reclaim na siya pa yung isang nawawalang anak and his throne, and eventually got back his name. And yes, and in honor of his adoptive father, he embedded these dollar coins dire sa ceremonial sword nga perting dakua. And some might even say nga, nabay blade sa sulod? You have this question, right?
Nabay sa sulod?
Unfortunately, wala. Kay, pang
it's
display,
just for display.
Display right ni siya.
How about these two na blade sa sulod?
Wanna guess?
Wala.
Correct. Yes po. Ang kanya siya is, well, of course, there's the belief of the Goliath, large people before.
Yes.
We can incorporate that to the story, but in the times when we received it, it was said nga gi-place ra daw siya sa ilang main door, main gate, to assert power or authority. However, if you do want real swords, naata deres tubangan nato. Mga swords, Chris, inspired by the Japanese times, or but even countered nga Chinese daw. But yeah, kani intended for slashing or bleeding out the opponent, and kani intended for stabbing the opponent because of its curvy-like blades.
Oh my God.
Yes, wala siya.
Alright.
Ila ang mga items.
Thank you very much, Von, for your stories and for touring us around here at the Anthropology Museum. But of course, for those who might want to visit and witness it on site and discover themselves what else are the collection here, how can they visit?
Right, so if you do want to visit here in Silliman University's Anthropology Museum, please do drop by on weekdays, Monday to Friday. We have an entrance fee though, unfortunately, for general, 100 pesos. For PWD or senior citizens, it's 80 pesos. And of course, for students enrolled here in the Philippines, please do bring your ID. It's only for 40 pesos. Opens at 8:30 in the morning, closes at 12 noon. Opens back again in the afternoon, 1:30 p.m. and closes at 5 p.m.
Yeah, but you will have your money's worth because the museums are gateways to the past, and you will have a lot of learnings, except from the fact that you can also take pictures, aesthetics. But anyway, entertain yourself at the same time, educate yourself as you know more about the stories of these things, especially if Von will be your tour guide. You will really and surely learn a lot from her. So again, Von, thank you very much. And of course, to our viewers, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed our special episode showcasing one of the museums here at the university. This is, again, the Anthropology Museum. And I hope that we can also see you next week only here on #Silliman. And please don't forget that all glory belongs to God. Hello there, Sillimanians. Thank you very much for watching #Silliman. We also have a Facebook page that is #Silliman. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Also, we have YouTube that is still #Silliman. Please click the notification bell for more updates. And of course, you can watch us at Channel 6, that is Phil Products, every Monday at 8 p.m. Replays will be shown every Tuesday before the noontime news and every Saturday after the noontime news. On behalf of Joshua Soldivilio, come home na. This has been Ronaldine Faith by Losses Now. See you next week only here on
#Silliman.